The House settlement has opened the door to schools sharing revenue with players, at least in theory. If the House settlement is deemed legal and it passes, we'll save that for another day when it's challenged in court. But anyway, it's looking like $23 million schools will be sharing with their athletes. We all assume most of these big football powers are going to give the bulk of that cash to their football players. Okay, sounds fine. And everyone in the SEC is cheering because it helps the SEC and the Big Ten separate even further from these little have-nots, your Big 12s and your ACCs. Well, coaches at football schools are now, basketball coaches at football schools are now starting to get the sniffles over the fact that non-football schools, like the Big East, they're going to have $20 million to give the bulk to their basketball players. Here's what Alabama's Nate Oates had to say. I thought this was interesting. He needed a tissue. That's a problem, Oates said, his eyes widening at the thought. As long as it's equitable across all the high major schools, you're fine. But if one's got $22 million and one's got $5 million, that's a problem. We're not going to be able to compete. They haven't thought everything through. And I just thought, was this from Nate Oates in the SEC, or is this one of the football coaches from 80 other schools talking about the SEC? My question is simply this. Anybody out there going to be crying for any of these SEC? I mean, Tennessee's in the same boat, but is anybody going to be crying for major conference basketball coaches that suddenly the financial wave is pouring in the other direction and not in your favor? I just think it's kind of ironic. Thoughts, reactions?
Some people are going to think this is us picking on because it's Alabama. Nate Oates could be the coach at Mississippi State. This would still be laughable.
I would say if that was Rick Barnes, I'm glad Rick Barnes didn't say it.
Because you can think it, you can't say it.
That's right.
Yeah, we've said that often, and here we are now, another example. Think it, don't say it. To the Big East standpoint, I don't even think St. John's and Patino are going to do this. I don't think Kim English at Providence is going to do this. I don't think Nova and Georgetown are even, they might have the ability. I don't think they're going to do it. Nate Oates, you should have picked another pinata to whack on this one.
I just think, but the thought of it clearly has him freaking out a little bit.
The idea that Alabama or a major SEC or Big Ten school would be at a financial disadvantage when we're talking about all the money that they're
Versus
making,
Creighton.
yes, against smaller schools that clearly have all kinds of disadvantages. I think it's wonderful.
I did think that the amount of money he said that they might have, or insinuated that they might have, $5 million.
Yeah, for basketball.
That was something with Arkansas that the Athletic did. They said, well, top basketball programs spend $5 million per year. Top football programs, $13 to $20 million per year. How are they going to work this out? It seems to me that maybe Nate Oates thinks, hey, I'm getting $5 million to be able to pay my players. That's what Calipari has at Arkansas right now. Yeah, but it isn't like, we still don't know if they're not going to separate all of this money straight across the board at Title IX,
Right.
and every single student athlete gets $60,000.
Yep. Right.
We don't, so none of us know. Nate Oates is freaking out too early, but that's coaches a little bit. But I do think I could see a scenario where the Big East, where Georgetown, where these schools, they wouldn't give the full 22, but if they had 17, which is the minimum.
They'll have more than the football schools.
Yeah. So, but if they can give 17
It's
out.
good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. That is an advantage.
And to your point, John, if that happens, oh no, he'll have to call the collective and get them to pay the players more.
Right.
What will he ever do? He'll call somebody else to get the money. SEC schools have the resources. That's not a problem. No one's going to have any sympathy for them on that.
Exactly. I just thought it was hysterical when I read it. My eyes popped out of my head. I'm like, are you kidding me? You're actually crying that you're at a financial disadvantage? Nobody's going to be feeling sorry for you there, Nate. All right, when we come back, how one column created a national wave of misinformation about a VFL. And I bet you've seen it or heard it this week. We'll tell you what it is next. Come on back.